Hello and welcome to the Scoutcast ahead of Gameweek 16. The final matches of Game 15 are still taking place, so bear with us during the show as we either scream with delight or sigh in frustration. Tonight we're joined by the two new Lundstrom adopters whose fault it is that he's broken, and I'm blaming them directly. My name is Joe.
I'm Zaz.
My name's Andy.
Welcome everyone as we look ahead to the weekend's matches and make sense of the game week that is still just about playing out. What's coming up in the show?
Well, firstly, hopefully you've got it up on the screen, we're going to be discussing Kane and his average position because, as you tweeted earlier, Joe, what is he these days?
What is he?
He's
I don't know.
not a striker. He's not, well, I mean, he's pretty much a defensive mid, I think. Sam was saying yesterday she thinks he's now getting forward more. I didn't see any evidence of that against United. So I'm interested in what you're going to do with him because...
Well,
he's a lot of money.
And nostalgia, though. All those nostalgia points.
Pick in the... We'll talk about it a bit later. He is playing further forward, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, after we talk about Kane, we're going to talk about another talisman of the team, and that is now Marcus Rashford, amazingly. So 2 goals against Spurs. I think he's got like a 75% rate or something of of points of attacking returns in his games, which is really good. So do we need him in our teams? The talking point this week is going to be how sort of budget defenders have changed our thinking and our approach, especially how we think about formation. So I'm playing 4 at the back more than I've probably played in previous seasons. Imagine others are, because there's so many cheap defenders like Rico getting 9 points and Martin Kelly and all these guys that just you shouldn't really be considering, but are suddenly really good options. And then there's the differential, which I believe is Andy's turn to pick. Clean sheets, and then our plans for the next game week, which is in like 2 days.
Yeah, fast and furious these game weeks. Let's crack on with a look at game week 15 as it stands for us. As so far, you're top of the tree, that barring a hat-trick from Henderson in goal from me, which is not going to happen. But you're on 62 points going into today. Lundstrom and Aubameyang still in play. Yeah, what's been going on in your game week so far?
Top again, Joe. 2 weeks in a row. Maybe my season is finally turning around. Just quite a good week, really. I mean, pretty much all of my players have delivered some points. Maddison's goal was really exciting. Probably the most I've celebrated a goal all season, really, because it was right at the death. I thought he was going to get 3 points. He scores that and it gets him 7 points pretty much with a bonus. So I was really happy with that. And I was a bit worried about him because he was playing quite deep in that match. And, that's the kind of game that I want him to be getting some returns in. So really happy with Maddison. Ings scored again for like the 5th game in a row. Amazing. Mane was just unbelievable. And probably the best thing that happened to me yesterday was Tomori missed out completely, which means I get Kelly 6 points off the bench. So really nice. I've just got to do something with Aubameyang, I think. Like, I'm watching him tonight and he's so out on the right. And if he blanks again tonight, he'll have had like 1 assist and 1 goal in like 9 games or something. And their fixtures are turning around soon and he's becoming a bit of a problem. So he's got 45 minutes to earn a spot in my team, I think.
It's a good precursor for the theme, which we'll discuss later, looking at the player, not the price. So plenty of cheaper, better performing strikers out there. And as a Kane owner, I know that only too well. Andy, you're nestled in the middle. You were 56 points going into today. Lundstrom's still in play. Yeah, how's your game week been going so far?
I hate John Lundstrom so much. Even when I bought him in, I even said, there's none of this I've broken in rubbish. He's blanked in 4 of the last 5. He just got that 21-point haul. Has done nothing. He got an assist in 1 game, but with a yellow card and stuff, it went down to 3 points. So he's done nothing. I actually took a hit this week. I was originally just going to bring in Lundstrom, but I decided to do Mount to Pulisic, knowing full well taking a player out before they have a good fixture at home was not necessarily a smart move. But I looked at the stats differences, and Pulisic was pretty phenomenal, to be honest, underlying stats-wise. And I think in the last couple of games, probably been a little bit unlucky not to score. So hopefully for the long haul, he'll be a good pick. But there's a lot of people talking about could maybe get a rest at some point soon. So a bit frustrating. The other move was Harry Maguire to Lundstrom. Hopefully that will come off at some point in the near future. And then same as Azri, I had Maddison. Funnily enough, at the time, about a minute or 2 before he scored, I was chatting to someone on Slack. about how I had the money to do Maddison to Ali because he blanked 3 games in a row. I was getting a bit frustrated with him, and then bang, he scores a goal, and now I'm reconsidering that.
It's last minute as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I was literally just like a minute or two before was chatting to someone about Ali. Kind of really not get him, especially when I got the money. And now he's scored and he's got 2 good fixtures, and I'm knee-jerking a bit the other way now. So we'll see how that goes. And then just one quick mention for Danny Ings, the man that injury-prone but has played like nine games in a row and scored in 7 of them. So I bought him in for Abraham last week. Obviously, Abraham did outscore him this week, but 2 9-pointers in a row for 6 million. Cannot complain about that. And he's still got some good, nice fixtures to come as well. So it's an okay week, but it's not going to be a green arrow at all.
No, it's a sort of average red arrowy kind of week, but not a massive red arrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I was 49 points going into this game week, and going into Thursday, I should say. Lundstrom and Henderson still in play, just about, I think. It's not going so well. So I think I'm on about 51 at the moment. So it'll probably be average, just under or just above. But either way, it's a red arrow and just dipped out of the top 100,000, which I barely moved for about 6 or 7 game weeks now. 50,000 to 100,000, yo-yoing around. Mane, Vardy, Mount, Sionju as well, points. 21 point bench. So last week I was talking about, look at me getting my bench order right, putting Dendoncker at the back. Well, it didn't matter this week because none of my bench were playing, but I've got completely wrong. If I had have had 3 no-show injuries, Target there, 0, then Rico and Dendoncker, so 20-point bench, 21 points including Pope. So, I thought that was bad, but I've seen other people with Kelly as well there, so we're talking like sort of 26, 27, 28-point benches as well. So there's lots of us out there. And obviously Kane is a problem. We're going to talk about him. I got Kane in.
Did you?
Yeah. No, carry on, yeah.
Sorry, bench. Did you see Magnus Carlsen's bench?
Hey, don't steal my rough with the smooth.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if you're doing that. All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you've
spoilers.
No, that's a lovely little
That's
precursor.
a nice tangent, that is.
That's a beautiful segue and a tangent into Az's rough with the smooth.
Yeah, sorry.
Because enough of my team, because we'll talk about Kane a bit later. I've had a rough week in terms of my bench and in terms of my main team. But have we got any more potent rough with the smooths this week?
So have you guys seen Magnus Carlsen's bench?
Yeah. Now, remind us, he is the world chess champion, isn't he?
Yep. And he's ranked, I think, 300th in the world at the moment or something?
He's often in the top 500 in FPL.
Yeah.
In FPL, he was like top 40 at the start of this week, I think.
Was he? That high? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll get this right. So he decided to be a bit ballsy this week and captain Salah, who didn't play. Who's his vice captain?
I bet it was Mane.
It's Sadio Mane.
Oh.
He's also got Dendoncker second sub and Martin Kelly first sub.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Martial didn't play as well. So with Salah missing out and Martial missing out, he gets 17 points off his bench from Kelly and Dendoncker. So that is a 33-point swing with captains and bench.
He's smoother than a bishop's mitre, isn't he?
Crazy, right?
He's immune to a rough, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other rough?
That's it. I'm not even going to bother with
any others. No, that's right. That's it.
Because you can't beat that.
There we go. World chess champion there. And I just wanted to pay tribute to Minson Tatties, who's in the live chat at the moment, for reminding me to mention my appalling bench order. So yeah, there you go, Minson Tatties, all done. Let's move on to the player, the team, and the talking point that we want to be discussing. Who is the player that we're all talking about? And I guess he's sort of where he fits in a certain position within the squads.
Yeah, so he's a player who I think still goes a little bit overlooked because he is essentially a forward playing as a winger a lot of the time, with Martial occupying the striker spot. But he's got 6 goals and 3 assists in his last 7 matches. So text asked, is Rashford hot property? And he should have huge ownership, but it's only 18%. So is he actually a bit of a differential that people should be considering? He's got Man City this week, so not a great fixture, obviously. But then he's got a great run. Everton, Newcastle at home, Watford and Burnley away. Arsenal are in there. They can't defend, and then Norwich as well. So really good run of games sort of over Christmas and beyond. Matthew Hall asks, is he the next bandwagon? easy. No Torja says, is it time to tap into form players with great fixtures? So he's thinking about moving Jimenez on for Rashford. Brave. Berry94 says there's so many good strikers at the moment. Vardy, Abraham, Ings, Jimenez, Rashford, even someone like Mousse. What would we say is the optimum front line? And Karen14, specifically for you, I think, Joe,
Yes.
says, what should Kane owners do? So I think, as Andy is the United fan here, what do you think of Rashford, Andy? And are you considering getting him in?
Yeah, in terms of bringing him in, it's tough because, as one of the questions mentioned, there's so many good strikers right now. And he's 8.7 million, so he's kind of getting to the kind of top. Obviously, like Vardy's a bit more expensive, but Ings is cheaper, Abraham's cheaper, Jimenez is cheaper. So it's tough to bring him in. He looked really good against Spurs. I was so impressed. I mean, Man United pretty much bossed that game anyway, which obviously helped, and probably not expecting the same thing to happen Man City away. But he's on 6.1 points per match for the whole season. So that's only beaten by like 3 other players. Vardy, I think it's Vardy, Abraham, and Aubameyang actually as well. So for his price, it looks really good. I think the only reason he hasn't really become a bandwagon is, like I said, there's so many good options. It's hard to fit him in. So I think, like for example, I've got Vardy. Like Vardy can go nowhere. Like there's just no way I can take him out. And Ings is just so cheap. So yeah, I could swap him for Jimenez. It's not really. Yes, maybe the fixtures aren't quite as good for Wolves, but there is a big price difference as well. It's like we're talking like $1 million plus, and depending on the formation you're playing as well, like he's the same price as Ali as well. So which one of those two would you want right now? It's kind of hard to say. And Man United, they can be frustrating, even though he's done that 6.1 over the course of the season. Pogba's still out. David was kind of saying on the team news video, he's almost getting to the point now where he thinks maybe there's not even an injury there. He just doesn't want to play for Man United anymore. It has been going on a long time. It's like setback after setback. So we'll see what happens there. And obviously he's done okay without him, but Pogba would be a big win. Martial's out now as well. Don't know how long he's going to be missing for. It's probably quite a short-term one, but he seems to always be in and out of the team. So I don't think I can go there right now. But he did look electric against Spurs. Honestly, if Man United and him played like that every week, there'd be no questions asked. But I know that in a few games' time, when there's a team that don't want to attack, they're going to sit back. Man United are going to find it hard to break them down again, and that's what I think would worry me. I don't know about you guys. Like, how do you fit them in? I suppose.
I mean, aside from sort of FPL, sort of real life football type question, as a follower of Manchester United, I was just wondering about you mentioned about a team he wants to attack against. I mean, he really did want to go for Tottenham. He looked great. What do you think about Man City? Do you think that this could oddly be quite a good time to bring him in? Because he's going to be up for it. And the Man City defence isn't that great. What do you think? Is this a good time to actually bring him in?
Well, so he has scored. I was checking earlier. He scored against Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool and Spurs now this season so far. So his record, and I saw a tweet, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he has got a pretty good record against top 6 teams. I don't think this is the worst time to be playing Man City. They're not exactly like Liverpool. They're just not keeping enough clean sheets like they were last season. But it is at home. The biggest difference is McTominay and Fred bossed the Spurs midfield. There's almost no way they're going to boss the Man City midfield in the same way. It's at home. I'm expecting Man City to have so much possession. It's kind of a good game for Man United because Solskjaer wants to play on the counter. He's got James, he's got Rashford, who are so fast. That's the kind of tactic or strategy that he wants to deploy. But it's just going to be difficult against City. So I would say I would never usually want to bring a player in against City. I think this is probably one of the best times to do it, I guess, given how they've been playing. But they're just so good. I wouldn't bring in Rashford expecting points this week. Let's just say that.
Okay, no, I was just interested in that. I'm interested in getting him this week for Harry Kane. So that sort of answers.
Well, that's different. If I'd made a mistake like bringing in Kane, I might go for it.
Where were you on the Scoutcast a few days ago, Andy? I was up against it.
I was watching. I was chatting in the chat. I was saying, "Is he really going to buy Kane?"
Yeah, and I did. But it's one of those things where you have to hold your hands up sometimes and go, "That's a bad move." Do I correct that now, or do I leave it to fester for a while? And I'm of the opinion, and this is something I got from when Mark was doing the Scoutcast, he would do it. Like if he made a mistake, he would just correct it, and he would even spend points to do it. Because sometimes you're just going to do that. You just got to pretend it didn't happen. And I think the fixture against Burnley, so Burnley are going to be depleted. And Spurs have done well away at Burnley, but at home, it's traditionally been one of those frustrating fixtures. But I do think that Dele Alli is, as said when we picked him for a differential 2 weeks ago, is the one. And I think in terms of like my optimum forward line, who is it? Yes, Vardy. Yes, Rashford, I think it is. Looking at the fixtures in general and looking at his form. And then currently I've got Jimenez, but that could be another one, but it's certainly not Kane. So I think Jimenez could be Abraham. It could be, at the moment, Danny Ings. I think these are all viable options. But one of the things I was talking about, people, we'll talk about formation later, is I really like 3 up top. Because I think there's so many good options here. I put some stats up which show, number of shots on target and these types of things. And it shows how good that, Vardy, Rashford and Jimenez are top there. They're the ones I want. That's the front line I want. So for me, as a bit of a precursor to my moves, I could do a boring move, which is Tielemans to Grealish. Now, even that move sends me to sleep. Or I could do an absolute lung-busting, exciting move of Kane and Tielemans out for Dele Alli and Rashford. No hit.
Oh, that sounds like a good. See, when you
sounds good, doesn't it?
For free as well. There's no decision to make.
Well, Tielemans has got 2 good fixtures, but yeah, you're definitely getting better players. I think when I thought it was just Kane to Rashford, I was thinking, no, you can't do that. But if it involves still getting a Spurs player,
I mean, that to me is no brainer.
I wouldn't do it if I wouldn't get rid of Kane for a hit. Because I got him in essentially for a hit, although I like to think I've got Matt Targett in for the future for that. And I wouldn't do it for a hit, and I would not do it if it was just a singular one. But Rashford I like going forward for the next few game weeks, and I do think he'll get something out of Man City, but possibly not a lot. But Dele Alli is just the one to get. His price is going to go up, and so it'll be prohibitive. So it's a move. I'm not that into finances that much, but I am if it prohibits me from making a move. So it's not the profit element, it's if I don't get Dele Alli now, I probably never will. If I don't get rid of Harry Kane now, I probably never will. And this also gives me, when Jimenez's fixtures turn a tiny bit, sort of gives me leeway to move Mount in the future, possibly up to Son. I don't know, but it gives me flexibility. I didn't realise, and I should have done, how much having Kane, and as you probably get it with Aubameyang as well, it sort of limits you, doesn't it? Because it
doesn't. I mean, we were saying, sort of last week, that the fact that you can just do Kane to Rashford is a perk of owning a striker kind of that price, because it means you can literally go to any single one you want as soon as they don't, show any form. So I think that helps you in a way, because you haven't got to really massively rejuggle your team. You've got the 2 free transfers as well. I mean, like Rashford to me probably is part of the optimum front line that Berry 94 asked for over Christmas, just because if Martial's going to have a bit of time, out of the team, and he's playing up front, the fixtures are so good once this City game is out of the way, and then you've got Vardy alongside him, who I think everyone is. I mean, what is 85% captain or something in the top 10k this week, which is I think the highest I've ever seen a player captain. So, and for good reason. Like, he's going for his own record, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's got 7 in a row or something, and he's got to beat 11. And then I think the third slot has to go to Abraham, because if he's now back in the team, and he's just proved again that without him Chelsea struggle, and with him they're a really good attacking team. So I think really they are the 3 best strikers to own over Christmas. I don't know if you agree with that. I mean, I know Musa and Ings are there to help you sort of balance midfield a bit, but in terms of 3 strikers I'd want, it'd be those 3.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. And one thing we haven't really mentioned with Rashford, which is a big win for a team like Man United, is he's on penalties as well, and he's pretty good at them. And the thing with Jimenez, because a lot of people wondering whether to drop him or not. Like, after the Brighton game, does have Spurs, City, and Liverpool in the next 4. So I am a bit tempted to get rid of him. The only thing is, we're obviously coming into a Christmas period where I'm not really expecting too much rotation, but there probably will be some. And obviously he's nailed, and half the time he's got penalties as well. So it's hard to get rid of him. But yeah, I think right now the three you said, I wouldn't be going near. I wouldn't. My team value is quite low, but I just don't see why anyone needs more than one premium player right now. Especially when you've got players like Vardy who are captain ball. Like, I've got Mane, and that is it. The only player over 10 million. Well, I've got De Bruyne as well, but no Sterling, no Salah, no Aubameyang, no Kane. It just doesn't really seem to be a massive issue right now, just because of how they're performing.
Yeah, no, definitely when it comes to value. So for me, I think it's Vardy, Rashford, and Jimenez stroke Abraham. But I am minded with Abraham. It's sort of 4 goes into 3. Abraham, for me, Abraham and Dele Alli in for Kane and Tielemans is another option, which I am considering. But I just look at the underlying stats and performance and fixtures long term, and I just think Rashford's just a player I want. It's like, say, people who are getting Grealish in now. It's because they know they're going to want him from game week 18 onwards, and why wouldn't you with his form and fixtures? And so I can yeah. The point is three up top definitely. And so Andy, your 3, would that be the same as Az's before we move on?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to like take out Jimenez because of how good he's been. But I think when you look at the fixtures, you'd probably like if you had to pick 3 right now. If someone gave me a free wild card, would I pick someone with those top 6 matches? Probably not. I do like Ings. Like, he's been good all season. Like, I know there's all this talk about injury woes and stuff, but apart from that, the freak Leicester game where he played 45 minutes, he's played decent minutes in like the last 9-10 games. He's played minutes in every game. I think at the start of the season, the only reason he wasn't playing much was because Che Adams was being given a go, and since he didn't perform, Ings has been in. So sure, he's probably not part of the ideal one, but if you want to save a bit of money, you can't really go wrong with him at the moment.
I love that Danny Ings is being considered for like best striker.
I'm waiting each week for this.
I'm trying to put my money into midfield.
Where will this injury happen? It never will. I just wanted to mention Kamsi in the live chat was saying Abraham is just better than Jimenez. Joe just can't accept. Getting rid of Abraham was a mistake. Oh, Kamsi, have you not been listening? I've just been talking about how I made a mistake getting Kane in for Abraham and how I want to rectify that. And Abraham is in the mix.
By not getting Abraham.
Well, I also said he's in. I said
he's right.
Well, I said he's in the mix, and also the crucial thing is admitting you made a mistake, and that's something all FPL managers have to do. You have to think: have I made a mistake? Okay, how am I going to rectify that? So yeah, I could indeed do Abraham back. I do think he's a very good option. The point is about moving Abraham out was not moving Abraham out. It was getting Kane in for Abraham. So if I'd have got Ings in, if I'd have got Rashford in, if I'd have got Jesus in, all the other options in, virtually every other option in, I'd have been laughing about that move. But, I happened to get the dud in. So anyway, Kamsi, please pay attention in future. So let's move on to the team talk, Whipping Boys. So I'm going to take this one because we've had a few people asking if we revisit the Whipping Boys because we want to find out who are the teams that we really should be targeting. So what I've done is I've looked at this sort of overall, and I've looked at it home and away recently, just to see whether there's any differences there. So thanks a lot to Rumour Mill. He was saying, can you revisit the Whipping Boys segment? Who are the latest Whipping Boy teams? Are there any home and away splits? So looking at the overall stats, we can see there it's West Ham, Brighton and Everton, to a lesser extent Watford, Newcastle and Crystal Palace. I wouldn't even consider, they're sort of, I don't know, what's the lesser version of being whipped? Whatever. Anyway, I introduced them to a chamois leather or something. But the first 3 there are the proper Whipping Boys overall. Although Brighton are putting in a good fist of ruining that tonight against Arsenal, which I'm glad about. But when it comes to away form, I think Brighton should be ordinarily. So we compiled these stats before. Brighton were doing ever so well against Arsenal away tonight, but ordinarily they're there for the taking. And suddenly Sheffield United look a bit wobbly as well, and of course West Ham are a bit rubbish. So let's have a look at Whipping Boys away, so we can see those figures there. And yeah, Brighton, West Ham, Sheffield United and Villa are not looking good away, so they're ones to target. But however, it all changes really when you look at home. So when you look at the home Whipping Boys, suddenly it's a bit different. Brighton are nowhere to be seen. On paper, they are much more effective at home in terms of defence. Well, unless you're Jamie Vardy, you're not going to get a mega score against them. But suddenly Norwich don't look so good. That's interesting. So Norwich at home are far worse than they are away. Southampton at home could be a team to target. West Ham are still there, and Crystal Palace are lurking around as well. So I mean, they're the underlying stats. Obviously, we've got sort of reality to contend with, and of course one tonight, which is, I'm sure Azam is as pleased as I am about. Brighton doing ever so well against Arsenal away, but nevertheless, it shows that home and away, there's still some splits there. One thing I did notice that Burnley really aren't there, and so that makes me wonder about my thinking about Dele Alli and Harry Kane and those types of things. That Burnley are not the whipping boys they perhaps are perceived to be. But I don't know about you two, before we move on, whether there was anything you wanted to say about kind of teams that you like your attackers to target.
Just for me, I mean, Norwich to me are just like a different. They're just. I don't know about the stats or whatever, but I can just imagine Norwich scoring 4 or 5 goals, literally no matter who they play. Like even against like Southampton, who are probably one of the teams sort of most near them in terms of like where they probably, are in terms of. I mean, I think Norwich's team is just so inferior to the rest of the league that. And they play so attacking and so open that I just think any team can score 4 goals against them, basically. So, like, when Southampton were playing Norwich, like, Ings was... I was so confident that Ings was going to get something in that game. And you look at Aubameyang, he's been so poor for me in all the times I owned him, but I basically kept him for that Norwich game, and he got 13 points. Like, I give Norwich extra attention compared to any other team, just because as soon as one of my team's playing them, I didn't captain Aubameyang. I'm a bit annoyed about that. But I think if you are looking for a captain and you're a bit indecisive, then I think Norwich are the team to target.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing about Norwich as well, because Zimmerman's come back in their defence. So I'm a little bit cautious about those stats at the moment. And I wonder how much, I mean, according to Norwich fans, it's made a big difference to their play. But, obviously it remains to be seen, whether reality plays out that way. But Zimmerman does seem to have helped them a little bit. Yeah, I do agree, though. Ordinarily, I would target Norwich, definitely at home. So that interests me particularly. So I see if you're travelling side to Norwich, give them a go. Andy, you got any just thoughts about particularly defences you've been keeping an eye out, or particularly surprised about how good or bad they are?
Yeah, I don't think a huge amount has changed as the season's gone on. Like I looked, I like just looking at like shots conceded in the box, and over the last 4. The worst teams are West Ham, Norwich, Villa, Southampton and Brighton. Now, that's not splitting at home and away. And when you look at it for the whole season, it's all the same teams apart from you swap Brighton and Newcastle. So I think West Ham, Norwich, Villa, Southampton are all teams that I have been targeting and I still would. The only different one, I suppose, is Sheffield United. So maybe just a little bit frustrated that I bought in Lundstrom this week. But I remember talking about the double up. And then about a week, when they conceded 3 to Man United, I was suddenly thinking, are they going to do this now for the rest of the season, be so defensively sound, like new team to the league? Obviously, no disrespect to them, but obviously it's difficult to keep that up for a whole season. So they've just conceded another 2 tonight, 3 to Man United, conceded 1 to Wolves. They've not had a clean sheet for a while. So suddenly those people that were thinking of double Sheffield United defence, now I wouldn't necessarily say we're going to start targeting them, but we'll have to watch now and see if this continues, and maybe they will become, because obviously we tend to at the start of the season, because we haven't got huge amount of data to target the newly promoted sides. So perhaps they'll now come into the mix a bit more. But I think it's still the same. Like if you've got someone at home against West Ham, Norwich, Southampton, whoever it might be, then that's the kind of teams that I would still be targeting for sure. Even though Liverpool, Man City, for example, are not keeping too many clean sheets, you're obviously still never going to be sure that players are going to get there. So I don't think a huge amount of change. I try not to overthink these things. The teams that I've been targeting, I will still target for now.
Yeah, I mean, I always find as well, when we do the captaincy videos with and podcasts with David, one thing we look at is goals conceded and expected goals conceded. And just going back to those figures there for overall, so I'll go back to the overall ones. And I find that quite interesting. So you can see there that Everton have possibly been unlucky to concede 10, and they should have really conceded about 6 or 7. Brighton are sort of where they should be, and so are West Ham. But I found that Everton stat interesting. They've just changed manager today, just before we came on air. So I wonder if that's something that Big Duncan Ferguson is going to sort out for a match or two, or whoever comes in, David Moyes, and look at that and go, well, hang on a minute, because they all look at these stats as much as we do. The stats say they should be conceding 6 or 7, and they've conceded 10 in the last 4. So they're the things that perhaps.
I mean, he's got a baptism of fire, isn't he? Chelsea, United, Arsenal, next 3, City to come sort of before.
Yeah. They've got quite a few injuries. They've got quite a few injuries. I actually thought, I know they still conceded 2 and lost the game, but I thought they actually defended quite well against Leicester, and then they go and play Liverpool and get absolutely battered. So I still don't know what to kind of make of it. I guess we'll see in the first couple of games just how much more organised they can get them. But
I think that Leicester game could have been a turning point for them. If they'd actually got a result in that, I think it would have given them a bit of confidence. But the fact they lost that game, and they didn't really deserve to. They just, their heads were just down against Liverpool. They weren't even up for it in the derby. As soon as that's happened, that team's finished. So I can see why they've got rid of him. He looked broken as soon as the first Liverpool goal went in as well. So.
Just before we move on to our talking point, I've had a request in the live chat from Gittins Gaming to say super sexy Dele Alli. Okay, I'm very happy to confirm that Dele Alli is super sexy now. Let's move on. We've got a talking point.
I want to get that soundbite and just
it's a great
play that somewhere, I think.
Andy, the talking point. It's all about value, cheap defenders, formations, benches. Explain more.
Yeah, so cheap defenders, how are they altering FPL this year, including formation, benches and more? So there's always been cheap defenders. They've got Shawcross at Stoke, and obviously Wan-Bissaka last year was a big one as well. And then this year we've got loads. Lundstrom, Kelly, Rico, Target. Soyuncu started at 4.5 in the best defence in the league at the moment. Even Tomori-ish, if you still want to back Chelsea defence, a lot of us got him at 4.5 as well. So you put out a tweet, Joe, talking about how many bench points Rico has got for you, and that kind of got everyone talking.
Yeah.
So there's kind of loads of questions and kind of overall thoughts. So Hibbo FPL says, even without Lundstrom, the best formation is 4-4-2 to accommodate players like Rico and Kelly. Adam Hopcroft also likes 4-4-2 at the moment. FPL Fox says, what is the best current formation with all the bench points that are around? Then more about Lundstrom from Robert Hunt. Has he made us more flexible with formation each week? So do we have to play 3-4-3, 3-5-2, or can we play 4 at the back as and when needed, etc.? FPL Chris says price should never be a factor. So I mean, this always happens, and I don't believe anyone that says they are not influenced by price. It shouldn't be influenced by price, but a lot of us are, myself included. FPL Zlatan said we should still play the fixtures. Rico just got a bit lucky. Obviously, Palace were down to 10 men as well, which didn't help. So, yeah, I don't know where you want to take it, like Joe. If you want to go first, like you put the tweet out. So, are you thinking of changing formation? Are these cheap players ones do you really want to play the likes of Rico week in, week out?
I think, I should, because I've benched so many points. I should be thinking about playing these. I mean, if I'm playing Lundstrom week in, week out, why aren't I playing Rico? And to be honest, I should have played Target, even though I got 0 points this week. But these players are going to get you 0 points, and then they're going to get you 9 points, then 0, then 9. But they only cost about 4 million. So if they're averaging 4 points a game, and I always think, if a player's points are matching their price, you're on to a winner. So I quite like that. So for me, so I've already explained that I think 3 forwards is the best way to go. So I kind of like a 3-4-3 because I just think there's too much choice up front. But I think in Lundstrom, because we have him there as an attacking midfielder, as that 4th, 5th midfielder, but he's a defender, in essence we are playing 2 at the back sometimes if we're playing 3-4-3. So for me, it's starting to make me think more about possibly playing a 4-3-3 even. And one of the options I was thinking about this week was playing, so I've got Rico, Alexander-Arnold, there's Sionchu, Lundstrom, there's Target out there, Kelly, all of these people. I just want to play 4 of them. And then 3 midfielders, you can stock up with some nice ones, Mane, KDB, Ali, or Son. And then you get 3 really good strikers up front. And you can afford all of that because you're playing with that 4 at the back. So my ideal four would be Robertson and four of those cheapies that I've mentioned. Midfields, yeah, Mane, KDB, and one of Ali and Son. And then it can be flexible, and you can add in a Grealish or a Zaha a bit down the line if you want. And then up front, I've already said it, Vardy, Rashford, Jimenez, or Abraham. I think they're really good options there. So for me, it has made me rethink. It's made me rethink my benches. It's made me rethink formation. It's made me think, back to the days when we had Alonso and we thought, oh, he's like a midfielder anyway, but he's a defender. We've got loads of them now. Rico is putting in the crosses. Look at that. Bournemouth were awful, by the way, and they've gone awful, except for Rico, who's seems to be attacking. They've lost all their width, all the Fraser. You remember Fraser? You remember the Bournemouth wingers? I don't know where they've gone. So basically, Rico's it. He is their width, but as far as I can see. And why shouldn't I? I should be playing him. It's very frustrating, and I think this is a good week for this because we've all got lots of us. I haven't even got onto the likes of Den Donkey yet, who's a centre back scoring goals and having goals disallowed by VAR earlier in the season. But yeah, back to you, Andy. That's my thoughts on it. It has made me rethink it, and yeah.
I'm not having any of this.
Okay.
This hasn't made me. This hasn't made me rethink at all. Now, it's maybe a bit different for me because I don't have Lundstram from 4 million. I don't have Rico. I don't have Kelly. But like Rico, for example, Liverpool at home, Chelsea away, Burnley at home, Arsenal at home. There's no way you want to play him instead of midfield. Like I don't even have good team value, and I've got Vardy, Jimenez, Ings, and I can get Ali, De Bruyne, Mane, and Pulisic. Why would I want a 4 million defender in there instead? So I think this is being a bit of overthinking going on.
It depends who your other defenders are. So I can see with an Alexander-Arnold or Robertson. But then the other two, so who are your other two defenders who are pushing Rico out?
Well, Soyuncu, one, Tomori, Lundstram. So Tomori, yeah, fair enough, probably not such a good bet now, but he's been fine. I think it's fine to have cheap defenders playing three at the back. I'm just not sure about this suddenly playing...
Rico isn't good. I've had him. I sold him this week. Okay, he got 9 points. But
Let me just remind you of the last 4 games. 1-0-0-9.
Yeah, but the 9 is massively.
I'm getting pelters for not owning up to my mistakes, and then
the 9 is
out that you got
outrageous.
rid of Rico.
Getting subbed at 63 minutes in a 1-0 loss. I mean, that should be another 2-pointer for Rico. Like you can't. That isn't. Yeah. You can't say that is anything other than...
He's just the poster boy for these guys, of which, of course, Lundstram was until he moved up in price. But you are talking about Kelly as well, who's getting those points. And Crystal Palace have a great run of fixtures. And so there's a whole bunch of them as well. And, of course, Soyuncu is in that pack as well. You are playing that cheap defender.
To me, there's just no point in paying premium price for defenders. And... No. All the premium price defenders, I think we kind of knew at the start of the season wouldn't really live up to it. So Trent's doing okay, like he got 10 points the other week and another assist. Like he's kind of posting along 7 million. Everyone's kind of relatively happy with that. But you look at someone like Pereira, he's not delivering enough points over someone like Soyuncu for nearly 2 million more at the time. I think he's at 1.3 or 1.4 more. Like I made the decision to switch Pereira to Soyuncu, and I probably lost 2 or 3 points. Which, when you consider the price difference, is nothing really. You look at Dean, he's not getting the attacking returns that you'd expect from him having all the set pieces that you pay the premium for. You look at Matt Doherty. I mean, he started doing quite well in the last few weeks, but he hasn't really done it sort of for the rest of the season. And these are the players that FPL were priced high, and we kind of looked at their prices and thought, these are probably a bit too pricey for me. And then you look at City not keeping clean sheets, Liverpool not keeping clean sheets, Arsenal rubbish, United patchy. Like there's not enough value in the defence to warrant having the premiums, and it's coincided with players like Soyuncu, who have broken into the first team at 4.5, Tomori at 4.5, Kelly getting lucky with injuries to Ward and Dan and all the other Crystal Palace defenders. I can completely see why people have got all these players. And I think, like Andy said earlier, because there's kind of an absence of premium players as well, it means you can use the money from your defence to have a really, really strong squad and not have to worry about, players like Kane, Sterling, Aguero, like you're not missing them because players like Pulisic and Ali and all the other guys are outperforming them anyway. So it makes sense to go cheap.
I always find, I think, why when I put that tweet up and I got so many responses from it, and I think so many people are thinking about it, because I think every season there's a sort of a narrative that occurs, and often it's based around those prices that we look at back in July and August. And we can't quite see it. Sometimes you look at there and go, oh, so-and-so's cheap there. So what it might be, remember when Spurs defence was something to actually look at? And if you saw like a 5 million Spurs defender in there who is playing and attacking, that would be quite interesting. And it does alter the way your formation is. And I think this year, I've never known so many of these cheap assets. You usually you get like a Nicky Shorey one season or a Wan-Bissaka. But I've never known like 4 or 5 of them. And I just think this, it's a combination of what you're both saying there. Yeah, Rico is rubbish, but then Rico got 3 bonus points and 9 points this week. So,
but I don't think anyone should not have these players. I'm just not sure about suddenly playing 4 at the back with them. I don't get what the kind of idea is there. Like at the end of the day, you bench him. Yes, it's super frustrating to get bench points. Why did you bench him? Because you didn't think he was going to get a clean sheet. So
because you played someone like Ali over them because you've got the money to do it.
But this is perfect timing because you both got Lundstrom in, and he is what he is.
We're idiots.
Because so what? But you've got him in, and presumably you're going to play Lundstrom each week. For example,
but to be fair, that's also because Sheffield United have got the fixtures right now, and obviously it hasn't gone well
Newcastle,
tonight.
For example.
Yeah, well, obviously it hasn't gone well tonight, but see, I won't play him when the fixtures go bad. I won't play him every week. I'll happily put him on the bench.
Oh. He's not paying 10.9 for Kane, Andy.
That's the gauntlet you run with Lindstrom. The game you have to play is.
But I think that's what you have to do. Like we're coming into Christmas, where we might need not just because players are going to get rotated and then you'll need them to come on that week, but it's just nice to have options. And the thing about having a deep bench means you're not necessarily. I think people always think it's about there's going to be so much rotation over Christmas. We need a bench. It's also just about having a different option, which means you don't get forced into another transfer. Like if you've got a 4.1 million defender on the bench, you don't really want to get rid of your striker who's only out for 1 week. You can just play him, keep your striker, save a transfer. So I don't know what the issue is. Like you've got these cheap players. That's good if they're getting points. It's annoying if not.
It is.
I think you have to change formation though.
It is good.
Bournemouth aren't good, and Rico isn't good. And Lundstrom is an attacking midfielder playing for a.
But it's a nice enabler though. If you've got him for 4.1.
That's what I mean. There's so many of these enablers, in a way, it has altered things. Like so, for example, ordinarily, I wouldn't have sat there with me Tammy Abraham injury and thought, oh, hang on a minute, I can get Harry Kane in because I got Matt Target in. Matt Target shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be Rico Sionju, Matt Target, Lundstrom. They shouldn't be. They should just be like Nicky Shorey and a bunch of 5 million guys.
I think it has altered things, Andy. Like your game week 1 defence was Van Dijk, Dean, Robertson, and Zinchenko. That is a pricey defence. And now
that was a strategy though, because at the start of the season, you don't know who these cheap options necessarily are. So you get the ones you think are going to play every week, and obviously Liverpool defence just went downhill very quick, and then changes as you go along. Thinking? Yeah, but of course I've got cheap defenders in because they're cheap and I can spend more in attack because I want to play 3-4-3 or 3-5-2.
That's my main point. This is why you've got a doctorate in psychology, as you cut through it. That was the original question. Has it changed our thinking?
I was happy when I saw his game week 1 team. I was like, oh, I've got it now.
He said, has it changed our thinking? Andy
Is that really different to any other season when as the season goes on, we put more money into attack?
Yeah, because if those defenders had kept on scoring points, you wouldn't have taken them out.
Yeah, well, then I wouldn't need to get cheap defenders if my expensive defenders were doing well. I don't get it. I'm not sure what the point is here. The cheap defenders are getting points, so I've bought them. Isn't that not a good thing?
Yeah.
But
it's good that they are because it's allowed you to bring in more premium players in midfield and up front, I think.
I guess my main point is I don't feel like much has changed because this always happens. We always try and find cheap options as the season goes on, and most of the time that's defence because we want to put our money into attack. That's what we've done. 3-4-3. None of this 4 at the back rubbish.
But we don't normally have as many options as we do, I think, is is the point. I think I've lost the point.
I don't know what we're talking about.
No, we can bring it back here. Here it is. Steve Watkins has brought us back to earth in the live chat. I just counted how many Kelly points I have on my bench all season so far. 36. He would have been 36 points better off if he'd have not looked at price and then looked at the player a bit more and thought, hang on a minute, Palace, are okay sometimes against certain teams. But yeah, a good place to move on. Now, Kelly's a bit of a differential. Well, he was, not anymore.
Kelly is Crystal Palace in general, just such
all
a
these
weird
guys,
team.
Lundstrom, Kelly, they're all differentials once, no longer the case. But that leads us a nice segue on to our differential section, where we pick a 5% or below own player that could help you rocket up the rankings over the next 4 game weeks. Last week, Sam got an immediate attacking return with Ward-Prowse. I think me and Az, we approved of that at the time, and
yep.
And there we go. As you picked Dele Alli to... Okay, well, yeah, that's worked. Previous week, Tom Freeman picked free-scoring defender Matt Doherty. Remember him from last season? So, Andy, no pressure then. Who is your top differential for the next 4 game weeks?
Yeah, so I may have forgotten the memo about 4 game weeks. And only looked at the next game week.
Oh, okay.
You haven't been paying attention this season.
No, I know. So the one I've picked is actually really not great for the next 4. He's actually scored tonight, though. It's Lacazette. He's still only owned by 2.5%. So maybe if Lundberg can actually turn it around, potentially. And it's West Ham away. That's a defence that I would target. Obviously, they've got, is it Martin in now, who's a bit better than Roberto potentially in goal. But I think he looks decent. But to be honest, for the next 4, it's Man City at home straight after that. So I'm not sure I'd be... buying him for that. So I'm going to apologise because I didn't get the 4-week number. But I think Lacazette looks pretty good. And he's been shooting way more in the box than Aubameyang recently for a bit.
To be honest, I kind of like it. Because, he should be fixture-proof. Arsenal will lose some of those matches. But Lacazette himself is a good striker. And he is...
one of those matches is Bournemouth, so that's a guaranteed goal. Because they ain't keeping clean sheets.
Yeah. So if he can get maybe those returns there... for those that don't believe in Rashford or don't believe in some of the others, presumably everyone's got Vardy, then I actually think Lacazette's not bad. He's a good shout for this one. As much as I do like Sam's shout of Ward-Prowse, he's not super sexy Ward-Prowse, is he? Whereas Lacazette's a bit more super sexy. Dele Alli, we know is super sexy. There we go. Gittins Gaming said it again. But. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I know obviously Andy's going for the next game week primarily, but do you think it could actually work out for
the next game week being? Sorry, the next game West Ham is there.
Yeah, West Ham.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't love it, to be honest. I mean, I've been kind of sort of half watching the Arsenal game, and I mean the first half they're just absolutely awful. I mean, he's good because he is the kind of the main striker, and Aubameyang is being shifted out wide. But he's been subbed. It's 1-1, and he's been subbed at 78 minutes.
Nice rest for West Ham. Perfect.
Yeah, but it's almost like he just doesn't seem to ever have the faith of people to. I mean, you had Emery subbing him at half time in some matches and not starting him, and now Lundberg's taking him off when they need a goal to beat Brighton at home. I don't know. I don't really. There's something not quite right there. I don't think they really know how to best use him or something because it's all a bit odd.
He's been playing central again and pushed Aubameyang back. So since he came back 90 minutes, he's played 90 minutes 4 times, 59 once and 76. So not too bad. 2 assists. So 5 attacking returns in the last 6 games. He's 6th for expected goals as well from open play out of every single player in the game. So I think he's doing okay. Granted, if I'd seen the fixtures, I may not have picked him, but I think he'd do well.
If I could do a free swap from Aubameyang to Lacazette, just say, here you go, you can do this if you want. I probably would do it just because of the fact that Lacazette is kind of the main striker. But I think we talk about optimum forward lines going forward, and I don't think Lacazette or Aubameyang would feature on many people's.
Morpay is just scored, by the way.
Incidentally, he was my last. He was my last differential pick. He doesn't fit within.
That's what happens when you take Lacazette off.
Yeah.
What goal? Lovely header.
Yeah,
I know. He won't do it again. He won't do that again.
I feel a bit. My Sky team. Next week we've got our next Sky video and podcast with Luke, and I'll be heading my hands crying, telling him that how I got Aubameyang in for these 2 wonderful captaincy.
We're beating
games.
Arsenal though, Joe. Away.
I know. I'm happy about that. Obviously, I was, and Yeah, oh well. But anyway, I've just slight lament for my Sky team. Oh, what I wanted a man Aubameyang to do well, but also Brighton to beat them.
Yeah, that's what I wanted as well.
Let's move on to clean sheets. This is where we look at the best clean sheet prospects over the next 6 game weeks. For this, we've looked at the season ticker on Fantasy Football Scouts. If you go on there, if you're a member, and you click on the little button at the top that says Defence, and then sort by difficulty of fixture, it will reveal the picture I'm about to show. So, Az, do you want to tell us the teams that we should perhaps be targeting for our defences?
Sure. So Palace are still top. And I mean, the sea of blue fixtures just doesn't end for them for ages. I mean, you look at the teams they're playing. I mean, Watford, Brighton, Newcastle, West Ham, Southampton, Norwich. I mean, I know a lot of people bought in Zaha and probably a bit disappointed he didn't get anything in his match. But I honestly think like someone like Kelly. I mean, they've got so many injuries in defence, and they went down to 10 men, and they still managed to grind out a 1-0 win against Bournemouth. Like Hodgson has got them playing to their strength, which is resilience. And I just think, Kelly is a bit of a gift at the moment. I bought him in when he wasn't playing because I needed the money somehow. And, I'm actually really relieved that he's actually getting some starts. I'm going to play him this week against Watford. And I imagine I'll probably start him in a few more games in this period as well. So I think just really good option. Villa, so you've got Matt Targett.
Yeah.
And I know quite a few people have got Gilbert. Tyrone Mings as well is getting he's getting a couple of goals this season, I think, and things. So if you have faith in them, I think the fixtures get really good for Villa from 18. So when they've got Southampton and Norwich at home, and then Watford and Burnley, I think that's when it's really nice. Leicester and Sheffield United, could potentially do some damage against them. And then you've got Spurs. So the only real defender I'd be considering for Spurs would be Aurier. Just because he's ridiculously attacking. He got another assist against United, but really you could go for Gazaniga or someone, but not really that exciting. And then the other 3, I'm not sure I'd be touching. Newcastle, Norwich, Brighton.
I think Lewis Dunk maybe, but
Lewis Dunk maybe with his direct free kicks, but he hasn't smashed one in tonight, which is a bit of a shame.
Norwich, as you said, definitely avoid them.
Definitely not.
Newcastle, intriguing though.
Yeah, Willems.
Yeah,
I do like Willems.
Yeah, he's a good
I do like Willems.
Yeah, good call.
Someone once mentioned him on a stream to me. I said, "Who the hell is Willems?" And then he went and scored against Liverpool and got rid of my double clean sheet straight away.
That's the guy.
That's him.
Yeah.
He's got him instead of Lundstrom, Andy. Both of us.
He's currently the best Willem
straight swap
in there. Let's move on to have a look at game week 16. Andy, do you want to tell us about any plans you've got? Put your team up as it is so far. But yeah, any plans?
Yeah, so I mean, captaincy-wise is on Vardy right now. I actually bought Manny in for this kind of 4-fixture run as a captaincy option, but then Vardy was doing so good, I just stuck it on him. Obviously, I don't see how anyone cannot have their head turned after that game against Everton. Like 3 attacking returns should have been 5 minimum. Those 2 chances at the end were so good. On another day, he puts them away. So, I mean, Bournemouth away and Villa away are pretty close, I think, in terms of how good the fixture is. Villa, I think, are conceding a few more shots. So I'm probably going to keep it on Vardy because, I don't know, I think people have got me a bit spooked about benching, but I'm just not sure it's going to happen for Mane. I just think he's just in such good form. He's fully fit. They just don't need to rest him right now, but we'll see. In terms of transfer plans, probably not much, to be honest. I think I've got the money to do Jimenez to Abraham or Rashford, but I just don't think I can take him out before Brighton. And Maddison, again, I've got the money if I want to do straight swap in for Ali, which is pretty tempting. Maddison has Villa away and Norwich at home, obviously same fixtures as Vardy. So it's tough. I've got in my mind that I took Mount out before a good fixture and he did well. And to be fair, Maddison's, I think, returned in 4 of the last 6. So he's really not doing anything wrong. But Ali's ownership is so tempting. He's only owned by like 6.6% still. So for now, he's still a differential. And Burnley at home, I think, is a decent fixture. If it wasn't Wolves and Chelsea next for Spurs, I would probably definitely bring him in. That just puts me off a little bit. So I may just save a transfer. I feel like I've been making too many transfers recently. I need to just take a step back and maybe reassess with 2 next week. I don't think I've got any major problems right now.
No, it's fine. I mean,
so yeah, probably going to stick.
I know the fit. I mean, my bold move of getting Kane in involved a hit. And then this week I did nothing, and I did got an average score, but I felt better about doing nothing. It gave me a bit of time. Sometimes it's quite good to do that. And at the moment, I don't know with your rank at the moment how much a hit costs you, but I know at the moment for me it's around 10 to 15,000 places. So every hit I take is 10 to 15,000 places gone. So I've got to claw that back anyway, and it's the same for wherever anyone is in the rankings. And it's really it's not good. Okay, Vardy captaincy there. Different captain for you though, as
Yeah, probably not anymore. I mean, I was quite happy with Aubameyang's 2 goals, and I was looking at the rest of my team, and there wasn't. I mean, obviously Vardy jumps out away at Villa, but he's been kind of scoring the odd goal and getting sort of 5 or 6 points, and sort of where I am at the moment, I'm kind of wanting a bit more than that to try and sort of claw my way up a bit further up. So I'm thinking maybe I could go for someone a bit different. Mane looks good, but I'm a bit worried about him getting rested. They've got such an important Champions League game in the week that they need to win. And he's already rested Salah and Firmino. So would he give Mane a break? Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't really know. My thoughts are that I now am thinking, rather than captaining Aubameyang, I want to sell him. So I could sell him for Abraham. And then that would give me enough money to do McGinn to Ali. And then I'd probably give Ali the armband against Burnley. But that would be for a -4. I've been taking a lot of hits, and that kind of makes me feel.
Do you know how much? Because I've already said with me, it's 10 to 15,000 places each hit. Do you know? Are you as sad as me?
I mean,
I
know that Kelly's 6 points last night. On the thing that tells you how your rank increased. With Kelly's 6 points, I was going up about 90,000 places.
Okay. Wow. So you're probably looking at about 70,000 places.
About 70,000 places just for the hit.
That hit.
So
okay.
I know. So Aubameyang to Abraham for free. I mean, the risk is as well. Chelsea have got an important Champions League game, and is Abraham going to play? But I think he probably is now, just because of how well he played against Villa, and just the fact that Batshuayi and Giroud just aren't good enough to be stand-ins for him. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was hoping Aubameyang scored tonight, and then I could save the transfer. But now I'm getting a bit twitchy.
We talked in that talking point earlier about defences and about how it's altered the way we play the game. There it is in action. That's my dream, back four. You got Alexander Arnold, and then you've gone for Kelly, Lundstrom, and Sionju, the 3 cheapies there. So there it is. I mean, I guess it seems to have altered the way you think, certainly for this game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, downgrading Pereira to Sionju.
And also that 4-3-3 lineup that I was talking about as well. I think that
I don't really like playing a 4-3-3, but McGinn is just so poor at the moment.
Well, you're not really. You're playing a 3-4-3 because Lundstrom is, of course,
because of Lundstrom.
Your fourth mid. Here's what I'm doing.
But McGinn to Grealish is on the cards.
Yeah,
because then I can at least get some attacking.
Good. Definitely. I'm going to captain Vardy. I think Mane is potentially better. But I think he'll play, but there's that slight caveat that he could be rotated. They have a Champions League game coming up, I believe, a few days later. So I'm, that slight question mark. I have no question marks over Vardy. Villa's defence isn't that great against these top sides, I don't think. I have 2 frees. I could go boring. I could get in Grealish or Zaha for Tielemans. Tielemans has a good fixture, obviously like Vardy, same team, but he's not doing anything. He's just a dud. He's a dud team, dead weight for me. I should be playing Rico or Target in ahead of him, even though they've got tougher games. He's just a bit of a dead weight. Mount, I'm willing to give a go for a little bit longer before he becomes a Grealish or a Zaha. But I don't like the way my structure is with Kane now. So I've made a boo-boo, basically, and I'm going to try and rectify it. And I think I'm going to do Tielemans to Ali and Kane to either Rashford or Abraham. I haven't decided yet, but I think I'm getting in 2 good players for no good players for free. So to me, that sounds...
makes complete sense.
It just makes sense. And it also takes me going forwards into a few game weeks. It means hopefully I can save a transfer the following week. It's only really like a Grealish or a Zaha I'm looking at. and all the rest can sort of keep. We were talking before we came on air about Kane, just before we go. I just wanted to say, so I watched a lot of that Kane, the Spurs game and the eye test there, so obviously I saw how good Rashford was. The problem with Kane isn't that he's this central defensive midfielder. He's in sort of the penalty box-ish, but when they're doing these lung-busting counter-attacks, it's Son and Ali and Moura who are the guys going forward, and Kane was sort of arriving after them. So Son had done his magic and maybe missed. Ali did his magic and actually scored. And Kane sort of, it's like he's sort of waiting for a rebound off the goalkeeper being parried out. Maybe that's what all he is now. I don't know. As I said at the beginning, I don't know what he is anymore.
He doesn't drive into the box like he used to.
He's not running into the box. He's not even like a lump who's like just sort of like a real classic centre forward lump who's like always annoying in the box and getting in the way of defenders. He just sort of he seemed happy to let Ali do that. And
I don't get it. Like he's so like he's obviously worked out a lot. Like he's a big like buff guy now. Like he's obviously been to the gym over the summer, and he's like, yeah, I just won't use any of this size to like bully defenders. I'll just hang back and let others do it. I just honestly, I just don't get it. I just do not understand it. It's been happening for ages.
I know what Firmino is. He's a centre forward that isn't really a centre forward, and he's allowing Mane and Salah to score. But what is Kane? Kane's not even that, but he's sort of in that position. But he's not even. I don't know. But both of you have poo-pooed Kane anyway, so you both know. Both know all this.
Bin him off.
Bin him off.
Bin him this week.
Right, okay. Game weeks have come thick and fast. It was great to have one of the old Scoutcast lineups together again tonight. We've got Game Week 16 to go for. We've got loads more videos and podcasts coming up as we get ahead for Game Week 16. I'll be back again for Breakfast Club on Saturday, and I know, Andy, you'll be back in, I don't know, your next video, which is coming up
tomorrow, 3:30 team news.
There we go. So just stay tuned for that, watch it, and if you get to miss it, then watch the recording afterwards. Get prepared. Before we go, just a quick plug for the members area. We have, as we keep plugging away, we've got monthly membership now as well, so if you don't want to commit to the whole season, you can just get it for a month, and there's so a lot of the stats we looked at, those season ticket clean sheets, and all those lovely stats about why Rashford's brilliant, and that lovely heat map of Harry Kane, which I pointed out looked a little bit like a heat map of my tears, which was quite sad, but as pointed out, that my tears actually get further forward than Harry Kane. Oh well. But on that note, it's a good night for me
and me.
Good night.
Good night all.